Well, do we need anything else to get you pumped up for the NFL season to start? I think not. And how about this lineup of notable Week 1 primetime games? You saw it there Thursday night, Rams hosting the Bills. And for some Sunday night football, Cowboys hosting Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Then we cap off your Week 1 Seahawks, Broncos, Russell Wilson revenge game. Mark it on your calendar. For your NFL early leans, we bring in Vegas insider Todd Furman and Sportsline analyst Larry Hartstein. We get rolling Thursday in what could be a preview of the Super Bowl between the Rams and Bills. Is it too soon to say preview Super Bowl? I don't think so either. Bills here, a slight favorite, guys, total 52. Todd, who is the edge in this first game of the year?
Well, first things first, before we kick this off, we couldn't get Pete Prisco a stool to stand on when he was interviewing Josh Allen. He looked like he was standing in a hole with about 6 feet of difference between those two guys. But it's definitely not too early to start talking about a Super Bowl preview. And there's a reason that the Bills are rightful favorites at a price less than 7-1 at Caesars going into the season, matched up against the defending Super Bowl champions. And we've seen this line move quite a bit. The Rams opened as a 1-point favorite. You're now seeing Buffalo widely painted 2.5-point chalk, because there is a ton of optimism in Western New York that this team, who was 13 seconds away from potentially beating Kansas City with a deeper run in the playoffs, can finally get over the hump and win that elusive Super Bowl. But I'm not sure they start out with a resounding win on the road against the Rams. We've seen the defending Super Bowl champion have a lot of success in the past. This is a game that they typically take a lot more pride in than what you'll see in the NHL or NBA when they're raising the banners. Those teams can be a little bit flat, but it's not the side I want to attack in this matchup. It's actually going into the total. And the main reason behind that is because I think Buffalo, despite having some continuity on the offensive side, could experience growing pains without their architect of their high-powered offense a season ago. Brian Daboll has moved south to MetLife Stadium to take over as head coach of the Giants. Ken Dorsey steps into this role. And if you read the tea leaves throughout the course of the offseason, Sean McDermott talked a little bit about running Josh Allen less, trying to be a little bit more balanced with a stable of backs. And what that means to me is that Buffalo could be slightly more conservative. Meanwhile, on the other side, I don't think Matthew Stafford's elbow is going to be a concern early on. This will be the healthiest the Rams defense can be going into the season with their studs and duds type of approach. And I think there could be some growing pains for them offensively if they're a little one-dimensional. I'm going to go under the total in the low 50s.
Todd mentioned how well Super Bowl winners do in Week 1, and that's true. But Sean McVay in Week 1 is even more dominant. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread, winning those games by an average of 19 points. So he's had all offseason to prepare for a Bills defense that is going to start a rookie in Ka'ir Elam in the secondary. And I think Allen Robinson is going to have a monster breakout now that he's getting passes from Matthew Stafford, and now that all the attention will deservedly be on Cooper Kupp. I mean, this is going to be an amazing game. This is going to be a close game, but I think the line has moved a little too far towards the Bills. Getting 2.5 is very attractive with the Rams, and I would also suggest looking at the Rams in teasers at 8.5. And I mean, Todd, do you think we're actually going to get to possibly a full field goal with the Super Bowl champs? I mean, if it gets to 3, you have got to play the Rams.
Yeah, so much money, Larry, on this game right now that the public, you figure, is only going to continue betting it. But if it does get to 3 at Caesars, I think it'll only last for a few minutes because you're immediately going to have an appetite from professional bettors trying to grab that field goal. So it'll definitely be worth watching from now until kickoff on Thursday night.
Definitely worth watching, and a lot of money on that game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys meet for the first Sunday night matchup of the year at AT&T Stadium. Odds makers not giving the boys the standard home field advantage. In fact, they're 2.5-point dogs. The point total set to 50, which is a 10-point drop from this exact matchup in their opener last year. Todd, it's Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. Who are you leaning on to have a better night?
It is, and we can only hope Sunday Night Football, with these teams opening the season against one another, resembles what we saw last year in terms of fireworks and last-minute drama. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see these offenses operate on all cylinders early on. So many questions about what this Cowboys team will look like, and the same can be said for Tampa. But the Bucs may be getting a fortuitous bounce. Chris Godwin practiced earlier today. You saw him without a knee brace, still wearing a non-contact jersey, so you wonder if he's going to be available for the season opening game on Sunday night. Meanwhile, on the other side for the Dallas Cowboys, aside from CeeDee Lamb and maybe Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield, I think there's some real questions about where Dallas is going to have to go looking for big plays. Dalton Schultz is a nice piece, but that receiver room without Michael Gallup is extremely thin. when I look at this team defensively that's in relation to the Cowboys, I have major concerns about where they're able to find difference makers. They were unfortunately on the wrong side of a little bit of Randy Gregory drama, so you lose one of your primary pass rushers there. Micah Parsons, in my opinion, will only get better given the ridiculous numbers he put up last year. And when you look in the secondary, Trevon Diggs is known for a lot of flash plays, but he's not the most consistent cornerback. And for me in this spot, unfortunately, I think it's buying the rumor and selling the news that Tampa Bay's demise is going to start week one. There's a reason we've seen a little bit of an appetite for the Bucs as this price is leaked up. I think Tom Brady always appreciates the opportunity to go us against the world type mentality. And I believe the Bucs come out and make a statement on Sunday Night Football. I'll back them on the money line at a short price.
I think both teams are overinflated going into this season. I think they're both going to have, decent seasons, but not what people are expecting. And I think it starts week one because the O-lines for both are a shambles. The Buccaneers lost their center. They lost two other guys. The Cowboys lost Tyron Smith. They are, bringing in 40-year-old Jason Peters. Are they going to line him up in week one and ask him to protect Dak Prescott? And I think the Cowboys will be stubborn here and try to run the ball with Zeke Elliott. And you're not going to run the ball against Vita Vea, Akeem Hicks, William Golston. It's just not going to happen. So I have no idea who's going to win this game, but I think both offenses struggle just enough to get us under.
Well, Monday Night Football between the Broncos and Seahawks caps week one. This is the matchup of Russell Wilson taking over the Broncos, facing his former team there in Seattle. Seahawks are a 6.5-point home dog, total 44. Todd, how much can you take into account the revenge game factor for either side here?
Well, there's definitely a high level of familiarity between these two teams, and we can only hope that Russell Wilson remembers he has to walk to the visiting locker room, not the trek he's made over the last 7 to 8 seasons when he was a linchpin holding together this Seahawks offense. It's always fascinating because you look at a quarterback who goes up against his first-team defense throughout the course of the season, they have an increased level of familiarity with him as well. The defensive coordinator on down, you're talking about trying to scheme up ways to make Russell Wilson uncomfortable in the pocket. And Russ didn't quite look himself down the stretch, as I think he probably returned a little bit too early last year with that mallet finger. This number's also been interesting to watch as well because Seahawks stock starting to plummet, and you've seen the number from 3.5, 4 where it opened, flirting with that 6.5 threshold. And I know Larry mentioned the potential of getting to a key number for Thursday night's game between the Rams and Bills. There's definitely a possibility that this game could touch 7 as well if there isn't an appetite for the Seahawks. Look, this Seattle team isn't going to wow people. There's a reason they've taken a ton of money under their win total. They're limited offensively. They're breaking in 2 rookie offensive linemen that basically worked out of air raid attacks that are now going to be asked to block for Rashad Penny and company in that ground game. But I think this number has gotten a little bit rich. However, I want to attack the total here. I think both these offenses will have some success. If Denver's able to build a lead, it'll force Seattle to abandon their run-first mentality. And don't think for a second that Nathaniel Hackett won't scheme up a way that Russ can throw a couple of deep balls and Geno Smith may want to match the guy who was holding down the fort in Seattle. I like this game over the total on Monday.
I love the Broncos team last year, except for their coach and their quarterback. And now they've replaced both with major upgrades. You get an offensive mind with Nathaniel Hackett, and you get Russell Wilson joining a team that outscored their opponents yet still finished 7-10. The Broncos defense is legit. The weapons with Sutton and Judy and Javonte Williams are completely legit. And I think Russell Wilson does get his revenge, and not because of any narrative, just because of the rosters and going up against a depleted Seattle roster that also lost their best cornerback from last year. I'll lay the points if it's less than a touchdown.
Well, guys, the board is getting bet. The lines are on the move, and it is glorious. The two of you are the savviest NFL bettors who can consistently find an edge. So let's start the season strong with what your best bet is for your week one wager. Larry, how are you confident, or what are you the most confident in this week?
Well, you have to move quick on these lines because today we've seen a lot of key line moves, games moving off the 3, where the Dolphins were 3 and now they're 3.5, where the Commanders were 3 and now they're 2.5. And this is a game that I love that is still at 3, and that is the Chargers laying the field goal to the Raiders. The Raiders were a little bit fraudulent last year. They made the playoffs. It was a great accomplishment with the turmoil they had, but they were really a 7-win team. They were very, very fortunate. I think a lot of that's going to come back to haunt them, starting with the offensive line. line, which is in complete disarray right now going into the season. When you cut your first-round pick, you don't know who's going to start at various positions. The Chargers come in with major upgrades on their defense, and Khalil Mack and Bosa and Derwin James and all of those guys ready to take advantage of that offensive line. I love the Chargers at a field goal.
You know, normally, Larry, diversity is the spice of life. Unfortunately, you talked about line moves throughout the course of the day today, and I was all set to make the Miami Dolphins my best bet at -3, but it's a significantly different handicap at -3.5. So what game did I land on? The exact same one you did in the Los Angeles Chargers here as a 3-point favorite in a game that I think we're going to see close in that 3.5-4 range. Larry highlighted some of the major concerns with this Raiders team going into the season. It's rare for a team to part ways with a first-round draft pick like they did in Alex Leatherwood, but I think it just speaks to the upheaval that Josh McDaniels has been forced to deal with along that offensive line. Devontae Adams is a great piece, and he'll upgrade what the Raiders can do in the aerial attack. But at the same time, if you can't block for Derek Carr, he's not the most mobile. And to highlight one of the points that Larry made, this team's Pythag didn't suggest that they should have even been a playoff team. You look at their point differential, extremely fortunate, especially the way they played down the stretch. Ultimately, water meets its level, and this Chargers team, I think, is one of the most talented in the league. To Larry's point, they upgraded a lot on defense, trying to go out and figure out what they needed to do on the defensive line, bringing in Sebastian Joseph Day, fortifying their secondary with J.C. Jackson, who most likely won't be able to go in the opener, bringing in Khalil Mack. And this is a huge revenge spot. The Chargers know what got away from them in Vegas last year with a chance to go to the playoffs. That won't be lost on them, as they have a chance over the first 5 days of the season to make two big statements in the division, starting at home with a win against the Raiders, although it'll feel like a road game, and then traveling to Arrowhead on a short turnaround on Thursday night. I think we see the Chargers at their best in the season opener.
All right, let's recap Week 1 primetime selections from our experts. Bills at Rams. Todd likes the under 52, while Larry is taking the defending champs. Buccaneers at Cowboys. Lots of question marks in this game, but Todd likes Tampa Bay money line, while Larry is leaning on the under. The Broncos at the Seahawks. Wilson's first game versus the 12th man. Todd likes the over 44, while Larry is saying, Broncos Nation, let's ride. And your top NFL Week 1 wager to make right now. While diversity is the spice of life, our guys are Herbie fully loaded, Chargers -3.
All right, well, let's be honest, guys. One of the best parts of game day is all the food. I'm a chicken wings with blue cheese. Yeah, it's kind of a hot take. That's kind of my kind of gal here. I have the chips, carrots on the side, have a little vegetable. Let's call that my food spread parlay. Todd, what kind of parlay are you putting together for us for Week 1?
You know, I'm a little disappointed you didn't mention carrots. Celery as an integral part of any wing feast there, along with the carrots, the blue cheese, and a bit of ranch. For my parlay, I'm going to make it 4 legs. I'm going to take 3 favorites on the money line, numbers that have moved since extracted a little bit of value there. We'll start with the Miami Dolphins and bet them on the money line. We'll use the Chargers, who we talked about, as our best bet for both Larry and myself. In a game that's moved quite a bit, the Arizona Cardinals have gone from a 3-point dog out to a 5.5, 6-point dog. I like Kansas City to go on the road and get the win, and we'll spice that up a bit with the Minnesota Vikings on the money line as well. Kevin O'Connell gets a big win against a heated division rival in his debut wearing purple. 4-teamer paying a shade less than 6-1.
Well, this should make Katie happy. I'm going to stick with the 49ers money line to go into Chicago and get that win with Trey Lance. They're going to run all over the Bears. And then the Chargers, Todd and I both love them to cover. We definitely love them to win outright. And then the Dolphins, I think this is the game where we are going to see a real changing of the guard. The Dolphins are on the upswing, not just because of Tyreek Hill. They have a lot of upgrades on the O-line, in the backfield, and the Patriots lost so much from last year. 2 of their best defensive players, 2 of their best offensive linemen. I think the Dolphins run away with it, and that will complete the parlay at plus 220.
All right, that's our Todd Furman and Larry Hartstein with your Week 1 parlays. Thank you, guys. Now let's get another look at their Week 1 parlay, shall we? You see Todd here. He has a 4-leg parlay, odds to hit plus 556. 25 down, getting you just under 140. As for Larry, a 3-leg parlay plus 220 to hit. You more than double your money with this parlay.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.